What's been the biggest lesson you've learned about yourself over the last 10 seasons?
That I think the biggest lesson I've learned about myself over the last 10 seasons is that I don't know enough. And that no matter what business I invest in, it has to go back to the fundamentals of I love the person, I love the business, and I want to learn more about it. And it's like Christmas every day when I wake up to learn the business. If it's just a money play, it's of no value to me because I can go and put my money in the market or in bonds or something like that.
Crypto or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Right? I
out.
put my money in Tesla. Elon is not calling me asking me how to build a car. Yeah. Right. So I have to love the person, the business, and I have to wake up every day like Christmas to want to learn more about it.
What do you think has been the greatest negotiation you've ever done, whether it be on Shark Tank or in life?
The greatest negotiation I've ever done, really, if you look at it from a business perspective, is when I negotiated out of ignorance with Samsung, the textile division, when I first got my FUBU deal. I was a young kid. I was very scrappy. I was hungry. I was a little ignorant in business. I was really ignorant in business. I had mortgaged my house, and I was running my own factory. And I had met with Samsung textile division for manufacturing and distribution probably about 6 months prior to mortgaging my house. And I remember calling the president of Samsung all the time, of the textile division, and saying, hey, what's up? I want to do the deal. He never called me back. It's kind of like how I don't call a lot of people back who just pitch me. And I got really pissed off because I felt like he was ignoring me. And now he had already had the meeting with me. He had showed some interest. So now I have $100,000 from my mortgage of the house, and I'm making I turn my house into a factory, and I'm up and running. Samsung starts to hear about how FUBU's doing well, and everybody's wearing it, so he calls back. And I remember, now that I have $100,000, I'm thinking that's all the money in the world, and I will never need any help by anybody ever else. And I was pissed off. I was like this on the phone. Man, you're so full of, shit, why didn't you call me back? I was taking it real, emotional, right? Yeah. And I was like, the deal I better have is this deal, and they said, no problem, just come on in, because they had offered me a deal that was, it was standard, but because they saw that I grew, and I had this ego, like, I don't want you anymore, I don't need you, I negotiated out of ignorance, and it was my best deal ever. I would never do that today.
You negotiated out of the deal, right?
I negotiated out of ignorance, and I got the best deal ever.
Oh, wow. Gotcha.
But as I know myself now, and I turn around, I was out of that $100,000 in almost a month later, right? Because I was paying for raw goods 90 days ahead of time. I was paying for my salary and staff, and I was giving my stores terms, 60, 90-day terms. And I would have lost my house and the business and everything else. And thank God I did that deal. But it was out of ignorance that I did the deal.
Right.
And I guess everybody always says, do you believe in luck? And I say no, I don't believe in luck. But maybe I should. Now that you asked that question, nobody ever asked me.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a little bit of luck.
It was a little bit, yeah. Ignorance, luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Timing, everything.
Yeah.
Now you said you have a couple daughters, right?
How many? I do. I have 3 daughters.
3 daughters.
A 24-year-old, a 19-year-old, and this really, really nasty and aggressive 2-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah, she's vicious.
Wow.
She's a hard negotiator.
Now, when you had your first daughter, did you feel like your views of business shifted, or the way that you worked shifted? Did you start working harder, more balanced, less, or did everything stay the same?
My first 2 daughters in my first marriage, I worked 30 hours a day because I said to myself, how am I ever going to be able to take care of these three humans? And now my life is no longer about me. It's about providing every single thing I can to them, getting them, to have a place they can live that is safe for them, and education and medical and things of that nature. And, and I would die for them. Yeah. So I didn't have a life at that point, and FUBU was just starting. And I never knew that FUBU, I never thought that FUBU would be anything larger than a boutique for my 4 friends and I to work out of. And I was like, this is my shot at the big time. I'm not going to let anybody stop me. And I really kind of mentally said to myself, I'll get to know my daughters when they're 10 or 15 years old, because there is no time now. I have to be in Asia for 6 months at a time. I have to be doing this and that. And I questioned if it was the smartest move to do, but I said to myself, you know what? If I was a sanitation worker, I would still, or nothing wrong with that, but if I worked
Right.
a city job, I would still work every
get extra money.
every overtime I could, because I need to be able to provide for them.
Yeah.
And now, I have my beautiful little 2-year-old, and it's a different way of life now. Now, and going back to this, as we'll talk about the book, Rise and Grind, now my theory is, how much love can I give to this little being?
Really?
Yeah, because it has changed. Now my life, obviously, I am in a better place,
Right.
and I have the opportunity to be able to give as much love as I can to her. Not that I don't give as much love as I can to my other daughters.
Right.
They're my driving force as well.
Right. So do you feel like you have a little bit more balance now? Even though you're working just as hard, but you feel like you take that time to...
I do, but that's exactly how the theory for the book came around.
Because I don't see you slowing down, really, in
Right.
business.
So what was happening was, I looked at it and I said, I'm going on 9 years of Shark Tank. I have hundreds of companies I work with and or deal with, and I'm investing in a bunch of them. I have a new 2-year-old. I have work-life balance. I want to get home to my lady. I want to do the things I love to do: fish, or archery, or whatever, snowboard. Or I'm really good on the board, baby. But I want to do all those things.
Yeah.
How do I do it? And I went and I would go in to speak to other people that I respect, and I would say, what's the tricks or the techniques you do to have work-life balance? They all told me the same exact thing, but in different forms. And I started to notice that I can improve in certain areas. Again, like you and I were talking, I don't know if it was on camera or off camera,
Yeah.
but there is no one area of success or mastery you get to and you go, I'm done, right? You can be somebody who's a master at jiu-jitsu or karate or something like that, and at 40 years old or 25 years old, you're a certain master. But at 80 years old, you don't have the same muscle retention or the same speed, so you have to learn to
Right.
master it a different way. Kind of like when Ali came out of jail and they had stripped him of his prime, he had to learn the rope-a-dope to beat George Foreman, and he had to fight a different way.
You can't just sit in the pocket and just grind it all day.
Yeah, you can't do that, right? So I had to start figuring out how to master my grind today, because the Daymond John at 48 years old is not the grind that the Daymond John at 28 years old had, and I learned all these techniques from the book and from asking these people.
So what were the big things that people taught you then about this? How to navigate?
Well, so the theory in the book is I study these 15 subjects in there, and they have success from all various ways of life, whether it's Santana or Tyler the Creator, the Grammy Award-winning kid, or our buddy Kyle Maynard, who Army crawled Mount Kilimanjaro
He's a
with no
machine.
arms and no legs, right?
He's one of the most inspiring guys ever.
He is. I mean, he made me feel like an absolute loser, right? And they all told me the same thing, but they told me in different ways and different formulas. And what I found, what I really to take away, the takeaway is that everybody is extremely selfish. All successful people are extremely selfish in a very good way. Like Chris Sacco always says, and a lot of these people here will not answer any emails for the first hour of the day, because they believe that you give up all your power if you're answering everybody else's problems when you wake up. They'll send out emails, and like Chris Sacco always says, his his inbox is his defense, his outbox is his offense. They won't look at Instagram when they first wake up or anything else, because they don't want to hear about how everybody else on the gram is looking beautiful, they're shorter, skinnier, whatever. They all got problems, right? And before you know, then they'll take care of their health in some fashion or form, eat a great piece of nutrition, and put adrenaline in their body. They'll schedule time with their families, where most people will say it's so cold. I'm not going to schedule when I'm going to call my mother and tell her I love her, or take my daughter out on a little date, daddy and daughter date. But you know what? You'll never get to that if you don't do it, right? You'll schedule everything else and be on time for everybody else in the world. That you'll be on time for when the train runs. You'll be on time for when the boss wants a meeting. You'll be on time for your friends to go to dinner, but you won't be on time for your family, and before you know it, they're 20 years old, and you don't even know your kids anymore. Your wife and yourself, or your husband, you don't have the same interests anymore. They'll also schedule time to go in a dark place and meditate and or find a place that they can be very grateful for what they currently have, and they want to know what they currently want, other than serving everybody else. And in the act of doing all these things, they become more proficient and also more beneficial for everybody else. They're a better person, they're on time, and they have their faith, and they have everything else. And number one thing they all do is they value and take care of their health.
Yeah.
They go out of the way. And throughout this process, when I was like talking to Wendy Williams, and she's a vegan now, and so many things. Oh, wow. Yeah, I learned to ask more serious questions about my health. You know, if we're in business, we're going to always ask, you know, how do we increase sales and decrease costs? We're going to keep asking why? How can we convert more on Facebook, social media, in the store? But we don't ask about our health. And for many years, I've been going to the doctor. I do the normal thing, go get a checkup. You know, he checks my throat, and you know, he sees if my glands are swollen here or not. But I started to realize I didn't feel right, and some other thing going on. I need to look deeper into these things. And doing that throughout, you know, studying these people here, I ended up finding out that I got an executive physical. I found out I had stage 2 cancer in my throat.
Really?
Yeah. I had a nodule in my throat. I had a marble this size of stage 2 cancer in my throat. The doctors touched my throat every year for the last 10 years. It probably was in me 5 years. Didn't know it, but I started asking more questions. And I started to find out all the things that were wrong with me because I just didn't take your physical looks okay, right? I started going deeper and deeper and deeper. And I ended up finding out I had stage 2 cancer. I'm cancer free now. So these things all have came out of doing a lot of the practices in the book. People will read the book and find out that either they're doing the right thing, or there's 5 other ways to go about it. Let me try these 5. These 4 don't work, but bang, that one's the one, you know?
If you're looking for more greatness in your life, make sure to check out this video right here. And also check out our free PDF, The 3 Secrets to Unlock the Power of Your Mind to help you change your life. Download it right here.
Because every time I talk to anybody that's had a big liquidity event, I say, how did it happen? They said, we never saw it coming. We were just working one day and then boom,